Okay. Call a meeting to order. We'll start with roll call.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Norwood,
He'll be up in a minute, he's indisposed.
Commissioner Sirigusa,
Here.
Commissioner Roberts,
That's polite.
Commissioner Stallings,
Here.
Commissioner Orr,
Here.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Here. Alrighty, thank you. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda.
I'm going to have questions on item 3.5, but I'll wait until they start talking about detention here in this study session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any others? All right, seeing none. Item 3, study items. Item 3.1, discuss adoption of the 2018 International Building Codes.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, I've got Sierra Krakowski with us, and she's going to take us through a little bit of information. We talked about this briefly at a study session, and we will be bringing this back probably towards the end of March for council action on this. But I will go ahead and let Sierra just describe some of the changes that we're looking at, and we're getting ordinance changes prepared and ready for the Construction Board of Appeals, and then we'll be bringing it back to you. So, Sierra?
All right.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor.
Evening.
Okay. So as of September 14th, 2021, the Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Council had updated and adopted the new code editions. Prime example is the International Building Code 2018 version. We have up to 7 different new versions that we must adopt per state legislature. If we fail to adopt these new code editions, we are subject to fall under the state legislature of construction industry, meaning that local codes that do not meet the minimum specifications, the state controls the construction industry. Our inspectors at a legislative level do not have the ability to enforce these code standards. Limited discussion is tentatively scheduled for March 3rd for the Construction Board of Appeals to observe our new ordinance proposal. Legal department is actually reviewing these items currently, and hopefully will be ready for March. Questions, concerns?
Can we deputize Carol if we need to as a code inspector after she's read all those codes? She'll still have to pass the test, right?
Yes, she will not be able to do that.
Sorry, Carol.
And of course, this
I think
model
she's not interested.
is the 2018, correct?
Yes, actually, it'll be the International Building Code, Plumbing Code, Mechanical Code, Fuel Gas Code, Existing Building Code, and then the 2017 National Electrical Code.
And we do this just every time that they update that. It's not every year or every other year, is it?
Correct. No, International Code Council actually comes out with a new version every 3 years.
I see.
Well, isn't there a 2021 IBC?
There is, yes. However, we don't adopt that, or at least the state has not. Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Council has not. So we are not authorized.
I think the fire marshal has.
No, actually, International Fire Code
the
is
state.
included in this new version as well, the IFC 2018. So the International Fire Code is also, actually, Fire Marshal's not here. So we will be following under OUBCC again. Every code version has been updated except for International Residential Code.
And the state is usually behind on adopting, so there will be books that are available for several years, and the state's just now adopting the 2018 versions, and so we're not jumping ahead of the state. But generally, they're behind a couple of years on adopting the newest books and code. And these books are expensive, and so we really don't want to buy a new copy of them every year. We want to wait and adopt them as the state does.
Yes.
I will say this will not be a surprise for our contractors, and we're happy to send them letters. They should be getting letters from the state probably already, right? From
We have
OUDCC.
actually received inquiries as to when our jurisdiction will be adopting the new code version. Several contractors in different trades. They are well aware of this new requirement in the state of Oklahoma.
So really, this is just informational. Our next steps are to schedule a special meeting with Construction Board of Appeals. The makeup of Construction Board of Appeals, I don't recall exactly, but it's contractors, plumbers, and electricians, and HVAC.
The
I
members
don't know
are,
the
yes.
exact makeup, but it's trades folks.
Yes, all board members
That
are
will
in
be
this trade.
licensed trade folks that will know about these kind of things. So they will get a chance to hear it, make any recommendations that we'll bring to you at some point in the near future. And at some point, we'll be up to the 2018 code on all those things except for, did you say one of them was 2017 or something?
The objective, I just found out this was going to be on the agenda today, yesterday. So, but the objective is that we do need to bring this ordinance update to the Construction Board of Appeals. They will review all of the new changes. Just prime example, this one book is dedicated to the changes from this book to this book, and this is just building codes. This is not mechanical, plumbing, fuel and gas, etc. This is just, so that is the objective, to go to the Construction Board of Appeals, because again, this is their trade. This is their knowledge. This is what they do.
Okay.
But again, we were just letting you know. And any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3.2, update on Grand Garriott intersection improvements.
Thank you, Mayor.
Holly?
Just going to give you an update on Grand and Garriott intersection. You can see the signals are completed, and the water line, waiting on some of the materials availability to finish it up on the tie-in portions, because the existing line is a 14-inch line, so it's an odd size line. We don't get the availability of those sizes readily available. So we are working on finding that tie-in. The sidewalks contractor is ready to jump on upon completion of the water line. Just before picture, old signal poles, and after picture.
Okay.
On the concrete radius side, like on the northeast corner of the intersection, currently it has a 25 feet radius. We are going to go 50 feet radius, so it gives more turning radius for the big trucks, because that intersection, like that signal pole being hit by several big trucks. So we wanted to give them enough radius so they can maneuver properly.
Are there a lot of big trucks that they're turning on to Grand from Garriott?
Yes, sir. Delivery trucks and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. What I'm thinking about Jaws over a couple blocks over. Are we making it easy for them to go under an underpass they can't go under? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much commercial traffic goes through there, how many tractor trailers need to go through that passage, but if we're trying to stop people from going under that bridge, not make it easier to do it.
I think several years ago, we had proposed some technology to provide the trucks to not to go underneath it. And I think because of the budget, we didn't proceed that one. So we can bring it back next fiscal year if you wanted to.
Okay, no, I'm just asking the question because
How many more detours are we going to have before this is done, Raleigh? Is there any more coming? Is that what you're telling us, or?
No, we don't have any more detours. Yeah.
Good. We did have some detours, Mayor, you're right, but I'm assuming we posted a detour that was not under the bridge, right?
Right.
So if they stuck to the detour route, and I don't know, did we have any, we didn't have any bridge hits, did we?
During when? We had one,
Was it a week ago that we had, the lights were switched out?
no,
No, we
we
didn't
had
have
one
any detour.
prior to that, I believe.
Okay.
okay,
So, we were fortunate, but yes, we still had the issue with the Main Street Bridge.
okay. All right, thank you.
You know, brings back to mind when we were in Ponca City and we noticed that signage that shows the height of the bridge, and that's a really good idea. I mean, maybe that would help. And like we said, we'd probably look into that.
Yeah.
Okay. You bet, it's about perfect time to be looking at it with the budget, so
Yep. Okay,
hopefully that will help.
That's all I have, sir.
okay. Other questions on that? Okay, go ahead. Okay. I don't think there's any other questions on that. So we'll move to update on Cleveland and Willow.
Yes, sir. The construction on this one, like they finished the final tie-in today, so they are going to pour the concrete tomorrow, and we are scheduled to open Monday.
Okay, good.
So, traffic will be back to normal on Monday.
Okay,
And regarding the improvements, right-of-way is completed, utility relocation, they are scheduled to complete in April, like ONG and OG&E. And the drainage channel, last commission meeting, you approved to do the extension of the box, so they are going to start work next week. The right-of-way, final plans been submitted to ODOT. They are letting go in August. Let go in August?
August.
August.
They're going to bid it in August?
Yes, sir. And the railroad has been approved by railroad, like the crossing, so we are good to go on that one.
That'll take a year from August.
Raleigh, and all that future construction that's coming up, I think we're done with messing with the intersection, aren't we?
That is
Willow
correct, sir. We are
and,
not going to touch the
Cleveland,
intersection.
Unless there's some unforeseen thing that comes up. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
This improvement stops just shy of the north drive for the Jumbo's parking.
okay.
Entrance.
I noticed at the same time, it looks like, is Blue Peak putting fiber up in there too? Because it looks like somebody's putting fiber in there too. I'm assuming
Right,
that's Blue
yeah.
Peak or Dobson.
Probably, sir. They should not be interfering with our construction.
Okay. Any other questions on that one?
Questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, item 3.4, update on asphalt laydown machine.
Oh, yeah. You want to go first?
You wanna show that
Why don't you
video?
go first?
Okay. Well, we have a quick little video that we wanted to show all of you. We are looking at purchasing a new laydown machine. As you can see on all of your desks, you have a little pamphlet. Just goes over the little, I guess, specs and stuff that we can't fit into the video, so you get a little view of what we're looking at. as you can see by this about minute and a half video, the amount of asphalt they can lay is probably triple to double what we are currently doing at this point. The machine here actually pushes the vehicles. They push the trucks. Our machine that we use now does not push vehicles. I had another video too. I can send it out to all of you. It's a little longer. It's something that you might want to look at personal, one-on-one when you're by yourselves. It just goes over the specs and everything about the machine, so.
Pretty much what's in this handout. This is something I think we've touched on before when we've updated on the asphalt program. This will allow us to get more streets done faster, which we're all excited about. It's an affordably priced machine. It's on the state contract, so we're able to bring an item to you fairly quickly. We will look to rearrange our equipment replacement budget because we think this is a higher priority than some of the things that we have in the budget. And so we probably, my expectation is we're going to be bringing this to you the next meeting because, number one, we got to get it ordered because, do you want to tell them about, or maybe you already did
Sure.
about it?
Right now, we have two, the manufacturer has, well, I guess the distributor, Kirby Smith, who we are thinking about purchasing this from, they have two build dates through the manufacturer set. As you know, we're having a lot of issues with, from COVID with build times. So this particular machine would start being built in September. So we have an option, like Gerald said, of a trade-in of our old machine for this one. So we'd be able to use our old machine while this one's being built. So, but we wouldn't get it probably until about October timeframe.
How wide a swath over there did you do?
So this can lay 15.8
15.
is the max width that it can lay. And I believe it's 8 foot is the minimum.
Okay.
So this is actually the biggest machine commercially that they have before going into those highway pavers. Highway paver, we just don't need that size.
So what's realistically, how many linear feet can you do in a day?
So the max that we've done with we have a 1000G Lee Boy right now. It's a pretty, like a driveway paver. We've laid the max, I think it was 275 tons in one day. This would allow us to triple that, if not more.
That doesn't tell me how far.
Honestly, it depends. It depends on how far we are from the actual plant. It also depends on how many people are getting material that day.
So you spend time waiting on the trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our biggest downfall is just having that one asphalt plant here in town.
How thick do you lay it?
So it also depends on the traffic, but usually about 3 inches is what 3 to 3 inches we do. So compaction is usually about 2.5 to 2.
With this machine, you could vary the depths if you wanted to.
Correct. I believe this will lay up to 6 inches.
I think it says
Our
8.
machine,
8, does it?
our current machine, we can't go as wide as 15 feet.
No, it's 13 foot, I believe, is our current machine, and that's stretching it. This also offers a really great option too. It's an electric screed. Right now, our screed that we have, and that creates the helps create that matte finish, that nice smooth finish on that road. It's propane, and it also is heated by the heat of the asphalt. This is actually going to be an electric screed, so it's going to allow us to keep an even, more consistent matte on that material. It's also going to allow us to, with the trucks being able to pull up to it and this machine allowed to push it, we're going to stop having that rippling effect that we have in our new roads because of the constant stop. When we stop, we lose our depth, we lose temperature, so this is really going to be a lot more efficient all around for us.
What does this little thing cost?
259,000, is that what it was?
So without having without it in front of me, it's about 259,000, but then we were offered a pretty reasonable price for our trade-in, bringing it down to about 225,000, I believe. So we were able to work around the budget to really get it to fit in with the equipment that we already had requested in there and approved.
That's less than I would have thought.
That's very affordable.
It's more affordable than what I wanted. I was looking at like a $500,000 transport machine and keeping our paver, and I thought this was a lot better option for us, so.
I think this will be, I think you mentioned we'll be able to double at least double probably our output.
Absolutely. Not only that, Lee Boy is actually going to send a representative here once we get the machine to completely train my whole crew, which is going to be very helpful. We didn't really have that the last time, so.
Can you run it year-round or just certain seasons?
Again, with anything, we have standards that we should, 42 degrees and rising, the plants will not fire up unless it's at 42 degrees or rising.
And that's really a constraint for us. There's one plant, and we're fortunate, but they won't make when it's too cold.
Correct. And they won't make if we don't have, so if I don't have at least 100 tons ordered, they won't make.
But we,
1,000 tons, I'm sorry.
but we're always going to do 100 tons if we're
Yeah, 100 tons. Yeah, if we don't have at least 100-ton order, they're not going to make for us, but we're laying well past that amount. I think the least amount that I laid this year was 130. So we're laying it. This is going to give us a lot more consistency in our jobs that we do too.
Good.
Oh, that's a great picture.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you. Yep. Item 3.5, discuss the purchase of property at 612 North Cleveland for stormwater detention.
Don't have a presentation.
It's 6.2 stormwater.
I got that.
Well, that presentation comes up. This is an opportunity that's come up next to some property that we own, the corner of Chestnut and Cleveland, that has become available to us for, we think, a reasonable price. It helps us solve a stormwater problem, and so you're going to take us through that and
Yes, sir.
how it's in the master plan and all that.
The current stormwater master plan requires to do a detention pond right behind the water school. So the right-of-way negotiations still going on, but we, city got a good properties right in the same neighborhood. City bought a property just not like 614 North Cleveland earlier, and just south of that is a 612 North Cleveland that will both together provides a same amount of detention pond. So this is a right fit and can provide a good, it matches the master plan requirements.
And so is this a wet detention pond or dry?
No, sir, it's a dry detention pond.
Okay, all right.
Why don't you show us where that pipeline is, it's the throttle? They probably don't know where the,
Right here, so there is a pipe right here that goes all the way to, I don't have the whole picture. That pipe, this is a 42-inch pipe right here. That is a bottleneck area. So that is the reason we need to have an upstream side detention pond. There is a detention pond north of the Walmart that catches everything north of Chestnut.
Right.
So everything west of Cleveland, we still need to have a detention pond. So this detention pond take care of that one.
so what, I'm confused, what exactly is this land going to do?
This is for stormwater detention. Morali was just saying, in the master plan, that reddish area
Yeah.
initially was listed in the master plan at Waller. The school officials have been very good to work with, but the reason that we're probably not able to acquire that property is because they're concerned about future school expansion. We still have a requirement to detain water in there because, Morali, can you show where that pipe is, like
Right
Commissioner Stein was talking about? There's a pipe that comes from Chestnut.
Okay.
That comes, well, I guess Chestnut is Chestnut right off the map. or-
Right.
Yeah, right there. And if you look at Chestnut, there's a new channel that we built there probably 2 years ago that channels water, and it takes a 90-degree turn down there where Morali's showing right there. And it goes into a pipe that's buried that goes about 3 blocks or however far it is over to the big ditch, the big core ditch. And so there's a constraint there because it's taking a 90-degree turn. And eventually, we're going to have to do some work on that connection from that pipe to the ditch. But a way to control flow right, Morali, is to have some detention. So what that means, explain what that means. We'll have to dig it out, and
Yeah.
so it's a future project we would bring.
Yeah, if you recall, a few years ago, when we had the big rain, so that water stayed right here. So that water stayed for like probably a day, so it flooded this building right here. So this detention pond, it's going to hold that. It's not going to, so, and also upstream of here, all this water that comes through, right, there is a pipe underneath the Cleveland. So it's going to collect all that water right here. And it detain the water and it releases slowly. Otherwise, we have to spend upsizing that pipe from here all the way to the big ditch.
So is the area in red, is that currently Waller's? Does
Yeah.
Waller own
Yeah.
that, the school district?
Yes.
School property.
And we want to put a detention.
We originally did, but we're not able to get the property because of valid concerns they have. So the area that's in blue,
We're going to do that in lieu of.
we have an opportunity to
red.
purchase that now
And move the detention
and move it right there.
pond over there?
Yes. And that's right next to the channel that we just
Yeah.
built. And it's right next to that 90-degree, I guess, throttle that we're calling it, that if we have a big rain, we need some capacity to stack water, basically, until it
Yeah.
can be allowed to trickle through there.
Well, somebody mentioned the expansion of Waller. Is that foreseen by the Enid Public Schools? Because that's kind of an established neighborhood. I can't see the number of kids really going up that many that they would have to do an expansion, would they? Just out of curiosity, does anybody know?
I think from their perspective, they recently completed an expansion, and I think a lot of it was in front, and currently they're using that as soccer fields, I think, in the back. But their concern to me, and I understand where they're coming from, has been valid about if they were to, they're happy to work with the city, but if they gave that property up to us, and then later they decided that they needed to do more expansion, whether it's 20 years from now or whenever, their concern is, well, then we're going to have to go buy property. So that's kind of caused us to look at some other options over time, because this has been, this has been probably, I don't know, 5+ years ago as we've worked through this. And since then, probably 10 years ago, that detention was built up, the Rolling Oaks detention, I think that we call it, with that whole development in that area with the Gene Anderson, the houses and the Walmart and the TNC meats. And there's still stormwater issues, because Morali just explained that, what was it, everything west of Cleveland and
Yeah.
is still, so in big rains, we're going to have problems there still. The property that we originally bought that's in yellow, if you can show everybody again, Morali, there, actually a guy that used to be a city employee, he wasn't at the time that we bought it, lived there and decided he wanted to move, and there were some flooding problems there. And so that's how we were able to acquire that property. And it's right there. There used to be a house, we tore it down. There's a ditch that was built that actually, there's a ditch that goes north and south, and there's a ditch that goes east and west out to Cleveland, right? That was.
So the house has been torn down already?
Yes, the house is gone. On the blue property, I think there's one house. Is that right, Scott?
That building, there's another building.
Because his mother, Larry Howard, owned the other property, and this is the Howard estate, I believe. The mother lived there. She's moved or something. We've got the opportunity to get it.
So there's still a home sitting on the
There's
purple?
one, we'll have to demolish a home at some point, yes. It is not, though, can you show the property just south of that? That's the Wendy and John Chambers, and by the way, John Chambers just passed away. I was sad to hear that. But they live there. We don't need that property. So we've never talked to them, and we don't need that property. But the 2.3 acres in yellow that we own is not big enough, from my understanding, for the size of detention we need.
Right.
But with this additional, is it 4.6 acres? So we'll have a total of about 6, almost 7 acres.
Yeah, 7 acres.
Is that enough to give us the
Yeah.
detention that we
Yep.
need?
And it makes more sense to have those two pieces next to
Next
each
to
other
each other.
than a red spot over there and a yellow one over here.
And Mayor, when I was a Waller Eagle, we played football right there where the red is, so I think they have football and soccer practice and outdoor activities out there, so they wouldn't want to give that up. Even if they're not building a building, they want that for athletic space.
This may even be, I mean, this is a good option. I don't know if it's better than Waller, but I think it's pretty good for a lot of reasons. It's an opportunity. The price is, we think, very reasonable. I think we paid probably 7, 8 years ago because I think it was when I was city manager, we bought that property for about 115 from Larry Howard. And this property,
About 150?
we're able to get for 225, which we
For
think
the
is...
yellow, for the yellow area?
Yes, the yellow area, we paid about 115, I think.
Okay.
So what this would do is acquire the property. We would close the transaction, probably take 30 days or so. At some point, you would probably see in a future budget, maybe even this budget cycle coming up, we'd probably put some money in to demolish the house, and then probably figure out, you guys are going to need some money to do some design.
Design, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so eventually, at some point, we would come and probably want to hire a contractor to dig a hole. And so would it be similar to Rolling Oaks, or?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
North side, north portion of the Rolling Oaks, not south side.
okay.
The south side is a wet detention, so the developer wants it, the wet detention. So we don't need a wet detention, we need it dry.
Okay.
So did we approach the current owner? I mean, how did we come about 225,000?
Actually, Scott knows the person. Scott, you want to tell him the story?
Yeah, I went to, I had, some friends I went to high school with, and one of my friends' mother reached out to me because she knew I worked at the city, and she said, hey, I've got this property, and I know you guys bought the property next to it. You have a purpose for it. Would you like to buy it? And so I took the information to engineering and management, and we looked at it and said, matter of fact, this would be a perfect fit.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out like that. So
I got to say, initially, too, I think she was interested at the time in selling only a portion of it.
that's right.
We told her really we needed all. And so over time, she came back to us and said, hey, I'm ready to sell it all. And so I think it's working out for us.
And does it appraise at 225 or what?
We did not have it appraised. It's a negotiated price. We think it's a pretty good price, and certainly we could probably have it appraised if we want to. But I think in my opinion, based on what we paid for the 2.3 and what they're asking for the 4.6, I think it's a good deal. Specifically since we bought that about 7 years ago, and property values have gone up significantly since then.
I did, Commissioner Orr, speak with a commercial realtor about this property, and I asked him for what a value would be on it, and we're pretty much dead on with what the realtor said that property was worth. So we can talk more about that later. I don't know if the realtor would be comfortable with me talking about it.
It is a commercial guy, though. So
It is a commercial guy in Enid that you would know, so.
Just as an aside, that red area, then in the northeast corner of it, that was developed by Waller as a habitat, and it has some it maybe kind of mirrors a little bit of wetlands. I don't know if it holds enough water in it year-round, but you can tell that has had that. Now, that's not going to be disturbed because it's going into a pipe that
Right.
just goes along there.
Yes. Because of this property acquisition, that's the challenge we had earlier. So when we designed that one, we need to take in consideration of that wetland that needs to be relocated somewhere or something else. So we looked at it's an expensive deal, but yeah, we were looking at that option, so.
Rick?
Is this to help slow the flow of water
Right.
down in the area?
Yep.
Because I'm aware of the fact that around that area, it catches about a 5-mile radius of water, and that water runs over to Middle Lake. A lot of that water
Right.
runs that way. So I just wanted to see if that was the whole reason, just to kind of
Slow down,
the flow of water
Yeah.
going through those pipes.
Right. Gets time, because the main reason is this pipe is a less than 1% slope. So, yeah,
Wow.
it's very flat.
That
It's
fill
very-
up fast.
Yeah.
Will those alleviate the issues up north
Yes, sir.
at Chestnut?
Yep.
Because I know that southeast corner property of Chestnut.
Yeah.
The southwest corner property is
Right.
usually underwater during a heavy rain.
Yes, this will definitely solve the problem.
Okay. Any others?
That property owner may be the one that we consulted, and I think would be very happy if we went through with this purchase.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Morale. Item 3.6, update on Great Plains Bank Building.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, let's talk about the Great Plains Bank. I know that's something that we've been asked to discuss, and so I wanted to bring it up and talk about what we've been doing throughout the process. First of all, just to refresh everyone, here are some pictures of what the property looks like. Not everyone may have ever been inside the bank building, so I just wanted to show a few pictures of what this building looks like on the inside. There's some very interesting work that's been done by the builder. All of these are 1980 pennies, and even around all of the mirrors and around some of the trim on the top, there's just very interesting architecture and design that have been put into this building. There's a picture of the vault and what the sides of it look like. It's just it's a very interesting building. So a time frame of what we've done on it. I'll go back to the purpose here, but we were approached by Great Plains Bank, and they said, "Hey, we've got this property. We're going to build a new building, and we want to give the city of Enid an opportunity to purchase this property." And so, this body decided that we should do that. And so, in October, we had an asbestos report that we completed, and then we purchased the property in November 2020. We started working then on estimates for the next fiscal year and what we needed to do inside the building. Things like bring it into ADA compliance. It needed a roof, some different things. So those are items that are in our budget this year that have been approved. In June, we approved a contract with Corbin, Mertz & Haney, and they have already developed bidding documents for a roof down there, and it's due on March the 3rd. We should get results back on the roof. We did some work in August of 2021 on the second floor based on conversations with Making a Difference, who is wanting to rent the second floor, to turn some of the office space that were large and kind of strange spaces into more usable office space. And so we've made that construction happen. In the process, and up at the top you see that there was an asbestos report completed, just to know, is there asbestos in the building? Where is the asbestos in the building? And when we started construction in August, we came across some of that asbestos again. And that got us to thinking, if we're going to do remodels, if we're going to put people and kids in these buildings, should we consider remediating some of this asbestos before we spend money on renovation? Because things like just scraping a popcorn ceiling, a section of it, could result in you needing to replace all your flooring. And so we didn't want to do things like move people in, change out flooring, then decide we need to get rid of some of the asbestos and then have to redo the project. And so there's been some changes with the time frame on trying to get tenants in there, but Great Plains Bank is still in there, and the last update that I've heard, they're planning on moving into their new building in October of this year. And so we still have a tenant on the entire first floor that's paying us rent to be there, Great Plains Bank. October, they're planning on moving out. You know how construction projects go. I think they're on track, and I know that they're hoping they're on track, but so things that are ongoing, we are still working on awarding the roof contract, getting a bid out for asbestos removal, and then Corbin, Mertz & Haney will give us bidding documents for the ADA and remodel portions in the building. I put in front of you some finishing designs from Corbin, Mertz & Haney. When we talk about doing a little remodel in one wing of the building or one part of the building, what we don't want to happen is a building that ends up with 5 different kinds of carpet and 16 kinds of paint. And so we wanted to pick some finishing touches that in general we will follow for the building. Now, if we do have a tenant that has a space and they're trying to counsel a student after school, we certainly want to give them the leeway to change the interior office color to match what might be best suited for a student or for after-school program. Going back a slide, the purpose of what we want to and envision Great Plains Bank being for is for community service needs. So currently the bank is a tenant for the entire first floor. We've been looking for other tenants. I thought we had a deal with a state agency that was going to be paying rent on the first floor when the bank moved out. That's kind of fallen through, but we're still looking for other tenants that can help pay rent. We have United Way as a current tenant. They have just a little 841 square feet on the second floor, and then Making a Difference would like to lease the rest of the second floor from us, which would still leave the basement and the entire first floor available for other people to come in and pay rent and have office space. And how we would envision it is to be a place where kind of like-minded activity, community service. You know, the other tenant was DHS, would have been a great fit for that building, and so we're looking for tenants that might fit that need. So I ran through the timeline there, and I think in your packets you might have probably a better map you can see than this, but it just shows the outline of what the first floor looks like, how the offices are split up. I have this on electronic format, so it would be very easy if we had one tenant or even multiple tenants on each floor to split that out and determine how many square feet each tenant might have. So we've got that information here, and this is for the second floor. Up in the top right corner, if you're familiar with the building, that's what it looks like now. We've actually been in there and added 3 or 4 walls and made a new opening to make some additional office space. If you're wondering, the conference room that has the fantastic design and architecture with the mirrors, and we're going to be leaving that room intact. You know, we'll put new flooring and new lighting in, freshen it up if we need be, but we want to maintain the design that was originally with the building. So, and then our basement here. There's roughly 26,000 square feet of usable space in this building. So there could easily be people that would like to use the basement. So that's kind of an update on where we are with the bank. We have been busy. We have been working on things, as you can see with the timeline. There's always something going on. And the asbestos has just kind of made us kind of rethink, you know, we probably ought to take care of some of this before we spend money on a renovation. And so we should be getting a competitive bid out in the next few weeks, and hopefully by the beginning of April, we will have results back, and sometime towards the end of April, maybe we'll have something before you on a contract to take care of some of that asbestos. If you're wondering about money on the asbestos, just a quick estimate from the guys that did the study in October to remediate the basement and the second floor, to get that ready for new tenants, and can be done while the bank is still in there without affecting them. It would be roughly $140,000 to $150,000 to take all that asbestos out.
What's the roof going to cost?
The roof, it'll be interesting when we get the bids back on March the 3rd. The architecture's estimate is somewhere in the $200 to $225 mark for that roof, and it has been designed a little differently. I could get Ken Corbin to tell you all about it, but it's got a different slope design than it originally had to make it flow better, and does include a few things. Thinking ahead into the future, you know, we may end up at some point having to change out the original boiler and HVAC system that's in it. And so, for an example, on the roof, we have already designed in some structure that could take a unit up there. And doing that now will save us a lot of money from having to go tear up a brand new roof if we decide that needs to happen later.
So, Scott, you're telling me about 150, what did we buy this building for, do you know?
This building was purchased, I believe, for $250,000 from Great Plains Bank.
And so we're thinking we've got 200,000 for the roof, 150 for asbestos. How much is the remodel going to run us, do you know?
In the budget, in this year's budget for ADA and remodel was $570,000.
500 what?
570.
Okay, so, and possible boiler while we're up there? Is that, you were talking about the boiler or something?
So the HVAC and boiler room, they are currently inspected, they are working, everything is in order. It is an old unit, it's the original boiler from when the building was built. We do have an estimate on what it would take to replace the entire HVAC. At this time, it isn't necessary, but if you're interested, that estimate was around $550,000.
All right, so, and we don't have any tenants yet. How long, what's our goal here with this building? I mean, are we gonna try and, how many tenants do you think you can get in there? And how long is this gonna take to pay out? I'm looking at probably $1 million some bucks here, $1.5 million.
Yes, sir. Doing good quality work, and updates do cost money. I don't have all of the answers that you're going to want. I just know that this council bought this building, and we have the intent to lease it out to people, and it needs to be in the type of shape that it can be leased out into. And so yeah, I've been tasked with trying to figure out how to accomplish those goals.
I was just going to jump in and say, to be frank, our goal would be to get some paying tenants in there that would help us cover utilities to operate that building. We've done some assessment work. I don't recall what the number is on utilities.
All of the
Gas,
utilities,
electric,
including, I mean, even mowing the grass, I mean, anything you can think of, the total is it costs about $108,000 a year to keep the lights on and keep that building going. So if you divide that into 26,000 square feet, it comes out to $4.16 a square foot that we need to get rent on to pay the bills.
Yeah. So what kind of market analysis has anybody done? Are we gonna make money on this thing, or is this just gonna be a money loser for us? Because this doesn't look good. It doesn't look good to me.
Well, what was the value of the building
And why-
when we bought it for $250?
Well, the bank's appraisal, I don't recall the exact appraisal, but it was
2.1 million, something around that
2.1 million.
number.
Yeah.
That's what I think they had an appraisal done that we have a copy of, and that's what they said the building was worth. So they were able to, the reason they could sell it to us for $250,000 is because they were able to get some tax benefits from the donation. And certainly it is a valid point for us. It's part of the reason of talking about it in study session here. It will take, if we're going to make some of these improvements, you're right, we're going to spend more than $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, getting it to where we need to be. Will we ever, I mean, over time, we've done some analysis about how much it is for utilities, and so we've tried to come up with some rates that we think might be appropriate. We also know that there's going to be, with the need that the prior council that purchased this, one of the reasons that we got it was for community purposes. And I can tell you, for community purposes, with the city involved, we're not going to make money like a real estate company or an investor might make on this building. So those are some things we probably need to take into account as we.
The issue is, though, and he's got a good point, when we bought this building, we talked about it was a good deal. It's a couple $100,000, and somebody kicked out it was worth more than that. I don't know whether it was worth 2.1 million. I doubt you could have sold it for that, but I'm not going to argue that point. But we didn't ever talk about what we're going to spend on it, okay? And now it looks like, and he's right, it's just, and we did talk about the fact that we weren't certain what all the conditions were. Remember, you and I had that conversation. We need to check that, and as we suspected, that the cost to fix some of that stuff is probably more than we thought. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't move forward. I'm saying that we need to be careful moving forward, because we really don't have a tenant that's ready to jump in there and help us where we in 10 years can pay it off, and we don't want to be hamstringing people in the future and say, oh, why y'all own that building over there, you know? And I know United Way's up there, and hopefully you'll get some other people, but you know, the people that we're catering don't tend to pay a lot.
Thank you for saying that. Right.
And I'm only one of 7 up here, but I cannot in good conscience vote for all these repairs and upgrades and remodeling if we don't have a plan on how we're gonna get our money back out of this, because I cannot sleep with myself at night knowing that this is gonna be a money loser for the city. And I just can't. And I don't know, yeah, the building was a great deal, it sounds like, but why are we buying this building and planning on leasing it out? Why is the government involved with that? I don't think that's our place as city government to buy buildings and lease them out. I just don't think that's a good investment. But I'd be curious to see the long-term numbers on how many people we think we can get into that building, what we're going to charge them, and some recovery for this $2 million that we're going to almost $2 million that we're going to have invested in this thing by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah. So I think the hope is that we're going to be able to lease some of it out to get some of the cost back. But part of the reason that we got the building to start with is we were looking for a place in the downtown area to put for activities for youth after school. And we looked at all kinds of different places to do that. And when this came up, we thought, you know, it's pretty close to downtown. It's kind of what we wanted. We know we're not going to make money on those kind of programs. We're going to provide a service for community.
But when I look at it, when you mention that angle from it, that's great, but why do we need to spend $2 million on a program for after schools, for activities? We can get away with a lot less and provide that service, but we're putting a lot of money into this, and I hope we have a plan.
Yeah.
I hope we have a plan to get this, to make it profitable at some point. I still don't like it, but I'd like to see some numbers on that, and how many tenants we'll need to get in there, and what we'll need to charge them for rent, and if people will even be willing to pay what we're going to charge them, or what's negotiated.
He's got a good point, Gerald. Maybe we should stop here and do a plan and see, you know, what makes sense before we move forward with some of these big expenditures.
And we can certainly do that. That's part of getting some feedback from you in study session, and why it was good to revisit this about community purpose and community needs. I would submit, I think we need to fix the roof. I think that's a need. If you don't have a roof, you don't have a building. And that's already in progress. That's roughly $225 as an estimate. We have that in the budget. We're going to have to probably consider anyway some ADA bathroom remodeling. But on some of the other things, absolutely, we're happy to probably, as we roll into budget time, probably come and whatever we think maybe we should budget, bring you a plan, because ultimately you guys are going to approve the budget as we move forward. I'm sensitive to the fact that we need, in my opinion, to try to find some tenants that are capable of paying. We were excited about the state. That just didn't work out at this time. Maybe it will in the future. There may be some other opportunities. So probably part of what we need to do in our plan is define what we're looking to get back. Also, I would say one other thing. I'm also sensitive to the fact of money, and we're fortunately in a great time where the federal government is passing out money like crazy. So there are grants out there that we'll be going and applying for as part of our plan if we move forward on some of these things. I'm not saying we're going to get other people's money to pay for everything, but
Well, I'm all for that. If we can get grants and stuff to help pay for this, that's great, but I can't allow taxpayer money to go towards this stuff without a plan. I mean, at $2 million, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to know what the break-even point is. Is it 15 years, 20 years, 25 years down the road? I mean, we're not going to make any money on this for a long time. And by then we may have to remodel it again and put more work into it. I don't know what the answers are, but I'm sure you guys can figure them out.
yeah, that's good feedback for us. We will definitely, my plan is, unless you tell us otherwise, we're going to bring that roof forward to you, because that's already programmed. It's in the budget. I think we need to do it. You guys will get to vote on that.
So-
But beyond that, we'll bring back
Yeah.
a plan.
So worst case, we put a roof on this thing, and if we don't have a long-term plan and we decide that we don't like this building, we can always sell it for probably more
We
than we
could.
bought it
We
for.
could certainly sell a building.
I don't know what kind of
Again,
agreement we had with the buyer or the seller originally for Great Plains Bank, but if there's no agreement in there, I mean, if worst case, we don't think this thing's going to make money or break even anytime soon, we can always sell it, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in our agreements that preclude us from doing that after the bank moves out. And the bank is a good paying tenant right now. So if there's delays, that'll be fine with me. We can all see how the progress is going on Cleveland and Garriott by looking at where the new bank location is.
You mentioned the programs. I remember Jonathan and Ben both were really excited about having a place to have programs. Are those programs still, do they need homes or?
Yes, in fact, they've been interested in moving in sooner. So when Scott talked about some delays or changes in time schedule, that's part of what he's talking about. Making a Difference would have liked to have moved in already. Our issue is we think we probably need to get rid of this asbestos now on the second floor. And we have done some remodeling. I don't know what that cost, but it wasn't a whole lot. So yes, and so part of that plan, we'll probably ask them, they'd be happy. In fact, I think Jonathan's probably watching this tonight on the live stream, and certainly they can come in and talk about their plans, because yes, they are still interested, and so is the United Way. So those are the two tenants that we know we're going to have. With Making a Difference, what we had talked about is using CDBG funds to take care of their rent for about 10 years. And those CDBG funds were about $125,000. And with United Way, currently they have a deal with the bank that they have an amount of rent that is covered in kind, because the bank treats it as a donation. So we'll have to work out a new deal with them. So you're exactly right. We're still looking we need to find some tenants that can pay. And we've talked about various different rates, between $8 to $12. We feel like that's a fair rate. We've checked with some of those commercial developers and other people, and that seems to be. And
It is very interesting. You know, I've showed the building to several people, and you know, I'm not in real estate, but it's interesting. You know, do you have a finished building that you show someone to demand the good rent, or you know, when you show them something that needs a lot of renovation, it's hard for some people to see the vision. Some people, the paint color will deter them. So it's difficult.
I'll be interested to see the numbers. Like I said, I don't know if real estate investment is really a tenet of government, but I'm not real excited about that as a taxpayer.
Yeah, I've been approached by a lot of different agencies like Girl Scouts. We'd like to have a place to meet. It's their place, and one of the thoughts was there'd be room in this facility to be able to allow some of those agencies that don't make a lot of money, but they provide a public service, to be able to lease some of that area. So that was part of the thought, as well as youth programs.
As far as the facilities go?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they gotta have a place to
allowing them
meet.
to have a place to meet and stuff like that. I mean, we've already got the Strike Bank Center. We've got conference rooms in there. I'm just skeptical of this whole thing. I'll be curious to see what the numbers are and see what our plan is to break even or this cannot be a money-losing proposition for me. And again, I'm only one of 7 or 8 guys up here, but I can't vote for that.
We've also had discussion as far as use of space for the city, the city of Enid. That's also been in our discussion too. You know, for the city of Enid to be able to use that facility to do different things, or even, you know, for the network system and different things like that. So, I mean, the investment itself, it's a win-win when you look at dollars. But as far as, like you said, Scott, it could be sold. I mean, anything, that's a possibility if that's what we have to do. But also, just looking at the fact, remembering back that we did have a discussion, you know, for city use, to be able to expand offices for the city of Enid. That came up a few times with the last council, not only, you know, dealing with the after-school programs for our children in our community. I think part of the reason why we did get such a deal is because Making a Difference and Zoe and different after-school programs were wanting to come in and utilize that building for different reasons. More than anything, academically, to be able to help them and help the educators after school to be able to bring some of the children up. And, you know, when COVID hit, that changed a lot of things and it slowed a lot of things down, just looking back. But now that we're open again, I mean, I look at things like you do too, as far as being a person in business, you know, the dollars, where they, you know, no one wants to lose that's trying to gain. I get your point. I totally get it. But I just wanted to bring up the fact that we did have those discussions that we could utilize that building for the city of Enid for that purpose to expand the city of Enid. I just wanted to bring that out.
That was, I'm sorry, Gerald, go ahead.
Yeah, we had some of those discussions, and I think that's still a possibility, particularly with some things like EPTA, who it would be great to have some administrative offices in a better location for them to serve folks that need that service. But again, those would be, you know, city offices, and typically we don't pay ourselves rent on this building. So that's so that is very right. You're right. We potentially could. It would be great in a perfect world to have access to that drive-through, particularly during COVID, to take payments and things. But that's a difficult challenge to figure out how to get some people over there without, quite frankly, increasing costs of personnel. So, meaning adding people. So.
Yeah, like I said, I'd just like to know what the plan is. I don't feel that we have one for it, and you know, if we're just looking for some programs and stuff, we can probably do it a lot more efficiently than buying a building and putting a couple $1 million into it and using it for that. I just, like I mentioned before, I think we're dipping our feet into something that should be left to the commercial world and not government. So leave it at that.
Good. Marty, thank you. All right. Okay, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it, and I guess we'll look for an update on that, a little more detail on that. And frankly, it's been a couple of years since this opportunity came up. A lot of things happened in the last couple of years, not the least of which we found out how much work is going to be involved in taking care of it. Likely tenant that we thought was coming in that ain't coming in. So there's been enough changes that we need an update on that anyway. So it's probably a good idea to come up with a plan. So appreciate that. All right. That was the last item. So we'll stand adjourned and reconvene again at 6:30.